Hi everyone, this video is going to be a one-looking tutorial. This is a video that's been requested several times for me, so I hope that this is able to help a lot of you transition into advanced 2x2 solving. To start off, I just want to say that memorizing layers and faces, how to one-look them, is not how you should be going about this. It's not like algorithms. One-looking is really a lot more like F2L, where you learn to solve these cases intuitively, you learn how to one-look these cases intuitively. That way when you get cases you don't know, you're not familiar with, you're still able to apply what you've already learned and you're able to one-look them. And in the end, it's generally faster to do the intuitive way rather than looking for a specific case and trying to figure out which way the corners move and are twisted. One-looking is also basically paired up with making efficient layers and efficient faces. Now this is something that's going to come with practice, but basically the more solves that you're able to make these short layers, short faces, the more solves you're going to be able to one-look. A lot of this is coming from doing things like watching other people solve, so like walkthroughs or something, but also make sure that you're experimenting yourself. Don't be afraid to try something during inspection or during your actual solve, even if you don't know it's going to work. Not everything has to be a competition simulation, and when you're trying to transition to one-looking more, you have to have more freedom with what you're doing and making sure that you're trying to push your limits. Now this video is mainly useful if you're trying to learn CLL and EG now, but if you know Ortega, you can still learn some stuff from this, such as like predicting your OLL, or if you do know how your algorithms affect the pieces, you can also try to like predict PBL as well. Now when you're first starting off with one-looking, you want to start learning how to do these 3 move layers, these 3 move faces. Mainly the easy ones, just things like RU prime R prime, or RU R prime, or RU2 R prime. That's really the basis of one-looking. So when you're one-looking, obviously the first thing you need to do is plan out what face you're going to do. Here on yellow we can see that we have just this 3 move solution here. It's going to be RU R prime, but let's not do the moves, let's try to figure out what case we're going to end up getting. Basically what we're going to do here is look at all these 4 white pieces, since those are going to be on the last layer since we're doing yellow, and see how these moves that we're doing on the face slash layer are going to affect them, so we can see where they're going to end up after we execute the face or layer. You really only need to one-look 3 of these, because then you can always tell what position the 4th one's going to be in, but for now, just to be a little bit more thorough, we're going to make sure we go through all of them. So let's start with the easier piece. We have this piece right here in the back. The only moves that are going to affect this are the R and the R prime, because when we do an R from this position, it's going to move this piece to the bottom, and then so a U move is obviously not going to affect it at all, and then the R prime is going to just bring it back up to where it already was. So we can see that this white piece is going to go down here with the R move, and the R prime is going to bring it right back up to where it already was. Basically, its track is going to look something just like this, R prime. If we look at the piece to the next of it, this white, blue, red one here, we know the R isn't going to affect it at first. If we just do an R, nothing's going to happen. After that, once we do the U move, that is going to affect it since it's on the top layer. It's going to move it over from this white, the white sticker right here goes all the way over to here. So we know that U is going to affect it. And then the R prime at the end, that's going to affect it. So that's going to bring it down here, you can see. Now, I absolutely want to be turning like this in inspection since I already know how to do this. You more are just visually checking it. But you can see that only the moves that are going to affect this color are the U and the R prime. So it's going to end up here. It's going to end up facing up. And now at this point, now that we have 2 that are looking next to each other, we can try to start predicting what case we're going to get. So here we know that this white's going to stay here, and that this white piece is going to move over here. So far we know that we're going to have a white bar on here. So that can lead to a few different things. We might have an OLL skip, we might have something like a U case. So we still have a few options, but we're starting to narrow down. We can also start trying to predict specifically what CLL case we're going to get. We know that we have a green here, and that when we do the UR prime, the color that's going to be over here for the white piece is blue. So we're going to have this white bar here and then opposites here. So that gives you, it narrows down the cases even more, so you can start to try to predict which one you're going to get. Moving on to this 3rd white piece here, this one is going to be pretty easy. Basically, the R and the R prime are not going to affect it since it's on the left side right now and it's going to stay on the left side. If we're doing an R, nothing's going to happen. Once we do the U, it's going to move over here, so it's going to move from here to here. And then the R prime, once it's already there, is not going to do anything. So the only move that is affecting this is a U move. So this piece is going to move from here to here, and that's where it's going to stay. Now, when we look at this, we already know that we're going to end up with a white bar here, opposites on this side, and we're going to now have a white color facing here. So because we already have 3 of the 4 of these done, we know now that this is going to be a U case. You can actually also predict the specific CLL case because of that. But if we keep going for now, we can just try to make sure that we know exactly where this 4th one's going to be and we didn't make any mistakes earlier. So this is a piece that is going to be affected by the R and the U moves, because as we can see, it's going to move up since it's on this right side, and then it's going to be moved over by the U move, and then the R prime is not going to affect it since it's on the left side. So how are the R and U moves going to affect this piece? The R move is going to bring the white side, or the white piece, up here, and then the U move is then going to push it over here. So now we know we have a white bar here and a white bar here, so that definitely makes sense for what we thought was going to happen. We have a U case. We already know we have opposite colors here, which were the green and the blue. Now we know that over here we have the orange color is going to move over here. So what we're thinking is that this is probably also going to be orange, and it's just going to be the F sexy F prime case. And we can see here that if this white's moving over here, then the orange would be on top as well. So we're going to have an orange bar here, a white bar here, a white bar here, and opposite colors here. So let's just do the moves, and that's exactly what we were anticipating. So now we know that this CLL case is just going to be F sexy F prime. You can either predict the 4th corner just by knowing where it needs to be because of the OLL, and seeing where the other stickers are going to be so you can check the recognition for that specific CLL case. Or you can just already know and not even have to look at that corner, since you know if the 3 corners are like this or something, that you would, even if you didn't see this, you could predict that CLL case without looking at that corner at all. That's something that you can get with experience as well. So at the start you might just want to make sure that you're one-looking all 4 corners. So that was the basic process of how you one-look a specific case. But now I'm going to try to show you how to implement one-looking in your solves at the point where you currently one-look 0 of them. To start off, you can just practice with the easy 3-move triggers, things like RU2R prime, or the one we were just practicing with RUR prime. That's kind of the basis of one-looking. So you want to try to start learning those 3-move triggers, and then any time that you get one in your solve, anytime you see a 3-move face or a 3-move layer, force yourself to one-look it. Even if it's taking beyond the 15 seconds, when I first started, I would take 30 seconds or a minute for some cases, but you have to practice to get both your time down and your accuracy up for these cases. Even if you say only know CLO and you saw like a 3-move EG1, one look it just for practice, even if you know you're not going to do that solution, and maybe you can just try Ortega on it or something. So at first, just keep practicing with these 3-move faces and layers until you start to get a little bit more comfortable. If you mess up something during a solve, say it wasn't the case that you thought it was going to be, don't just move on to the next one. Make sure that you go back and figure out what went wrong there, whether it was you didn't choose the exact case correctly, maybe you messed up an algorithm, or maybe you just twisted 2 corners kind of the wrong way when you were looking at it. You want to make sure that you iron out all these mistakes and that your accuracy is getting up and you're really understanding these before you move on to the longer faces to one look. Once you start to get comfortable with 3-move faces, and you can do them fairly quickly, you need to make sure that you move on to 4 or even 5-move length faces. This can be a little weird at first, and it might take a little longer like we just said previously, but make sure that you're pushing yourself, and even if it's taking 30 seconds, a minute, or longer than that to one-look these cases, make sure that you're trying to do so, and that if you do something wrong, you check and figure out what you did wrong so you can learn from it. For a lot of these 4 and 5-move cases, they're actually pretty similar to the 3-move triggers that you have already learned at this point. Some things that look more complicated like this are, like if we were solving yellow, are really just F and then the RUR prime that you're already familiar with. So you just can kind of one look to that point you're familiar with and then also go from there. Now, after you finish getting comfortable with these 4 and 5-move faces, you can basically just move on to trying to one look all of the solves that you can. Now, it's not going to be 100% at first, obviously, but when you get these 6 and 7-move faces, really try to one look them. That's also about the longest that your solutions should be. That's part of the making sure that you have efficient solutions part of this thing. So at this point in the video, I'm just going to move on to doing some example solves where I one look. We're going to do this from 2 moves all the way up to 6 moves. So I hope that this will be able to help you guys kind of see what the process is like and learn how to start one looking on your own. The scrambles for all these will be in the description if you want to follow along, but let's just start off with a 2 move example. So this is something you're going to see often where you have something like 2 bars that are on opposite sides of each other, and you could just solve this right here with U prime R2. This case is actually really fast to one look because you really only need to one look 2 sections or 2 bars. As you can see here on these 2 last layer pieces are already connected, and they're only affected by a U prime. So you can just track the whole bar and see where that goes, and then you've already predicted half the last layer. The other half is already on the bottom, and this is only going to be affected by the R2 this time, not the U prime. So you can see that this blue here is going to end up on top, and this blue is then going to move up here. So since we have this blue moving here and this blue moving here, we're going to have blues here, 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 and here, and that's going to give us a T case. So now that we know we have that OLL, you want to kind of see what specific CLL case you're going to have, what recognition you have there. So we know that this blue has a yellow in the back. So that's one of the key points for recognizing which T case you have. And then also this blue yellow piece is going to move back here. So we're going to have a yellow bar in the back. And now, after I saw that this was a solid yellow bar, I would be able to predict that because this color is red here, that I would have opposite colors here and I would know the case. But you can also just see that this orange part of the blue piece is going to end up here. And so you would have opposite colors, and we can double check that. We have, after we do those moves, we're going to have the T case with the yellow in the back, and then these opposite colors right here. And so we would just do whatever case that is. This isn't a simple 3 move trigger really like the RUR prime ones, but it still has 3 moves and it's 2 gen, so it's pretty simple. Basically here we could do something like RUR prime, and then we would get an EG1 face. I would actually execute it from the back like this because that way the bar ends up in the back that's on the bottom here. But one of the things you can do is just one look from whatever way is most comfortable. Like in this position, even though I would execute it from the back, I would probably one look like this just because it's more comfortable for me to look at these R and U moves rather than like L and U and things. So first thing I would look at this piece just because it's right in front of me, and I would see that it's going to be affected by the U move only. So since I'm solving the white side, I'm just looking for yellow. And so I would see that it moves over to here, and that's where the yellow part's going to be. I also see that this yellow piece is going to come down with the R prime, and then going to be affected by the U, and then it's not going to be affected by the next R prime. So now I kind of know that I'm going to have a yellow here and a yellow here, and that already narrows down the cases that I'm trying to look for now, because I kind of know sort of what I'm going to get. I also saw while doing that they're going to be the same color on top here. That can just help with recognition after I figure out what OLL I have. So for the next 2 yellow pieces, this one on the bottom is just going to have the R prime and the R prime affecting it. So it's just going to end up on top here. So now that we know we have a yellow here and here and here, again we're going to have a T case. And you could again predict just based on what color this is. If you're familiar with how to recognize your CLLs, you can already predict what case you're going to get. Since I have a red bar here, and I already have a green somewhere on this side, then I know specifically what case it's going to be already. But let's say I wanted to make sure, I then see that this last yellow piece here is going to be affected by the U and the R prime. So it's going to end up in right here just like we expected for the T case. That way we have yellows here and here. And then we're going to have a blue here, and we already saw we're going to have a green here. So we're going to have solid colors here and opposite colors here. Let's just double check to make sure. And yeah, that's what we're going to get. So again, I would do it like something like this, but I sometimes one look from a different angle that might be more helpful. This next one is a 4 move case, and it's actually just a pretty easy setup to one of the 3 move ones that you'll learn early on. So orange here, if we're doing like F prime or UR prime, there's a few different ways you could have solved that, but that's just one of them. So as you can see, basically we're just doing an F prime, and then if you're familiar with the 3 move triggers, things like RU prime, R prime, then it's not too difficult to build off that and just add that one extra move. So in this case, I see that this is already on top, this red piece here, and I knew it wasn't going to move much, so I mean, that's just kind of what I got drawn to first since I saw the red, I guess. So I know that the F prime is not going to affect it, and the only move that's going to affect it is the U prime, so it's going to end up right here. Also right here, I see that this red is not going to move at all, because F prime doesn't move it, the R does move it, and then the R prime moves it, so it just stays in place. Then we have, so these other two pieces are more of the important ones. This red one here, after the F prime, it's going to end up right here, and then it's going to move with the R to go here, and then the U prime is going to send it back here, and then it's going to stay there because the R prime doesn't affect it. So I know that this red is going to go all the way back here. And now since I know I'm going to have a red here, here, and here, that I'm definitely going to have a suitcase, because that's the only way that this last corner could face. So I know that this corner needs to face here, but I would just kind of track it through to just make sure. So this red piece would go here with the F prime, and then up to here with the R, over here with the U prime, and then down to here with the R prime. So it would be affected by all four moves. And now, so I kind of do this at the same time, where I look for the OL and look for what recognition I have for the CLL at the same time. But if I was just to kind of go over it again, I see that when I do recognize soon, I look for like these three colors that are going to be on top for my recognition mainly. So I would see that this blue is going to go up here, that this white is going to stay here, and that the color here is going to be yellow, because if you see something like that, this is the orientation it's going to be in, so the yellow would be facing on top. So I have a blue, white, and yellow, so I have like opposites here for me, and then you can check out the rest of the recognition, but basically I would see that these are opposites and these are opposites, and for me that teaches me what CLL case it is. This next one is an example of a 5-move CLL error. This may or may not be the best solution to this scramble, but it's just something that you might come across and want to try to one look. So for this case specifically, we can just solve red with an L, U, L prime, U, L2. So the first corner I would check out here is this orange one. I see that the L is not going to move it, the U will move it over here, the L prime is going to move it back here, the next U is going to move it here, and that's where it's going to stay because the L2 isn't moving it at all. So in my mind, I would kind of then see, okay, this orange is going to twist and move over here. Orange is facing here, and I can also kind of see that a yellow is facing up, and that's probably going to be useful for my recognition of the case in a minute. The next piece I would probably check out is this orange one back here. So I see that this is going to be moving the L to here, the U is going to move it to here, the next L is going to, the L prime is going to move it to here, and then the L2 is going to move it to here. So I'm going to have an orange facing up over here. So right now I just know I have an orange here and orange here. The next one I would look at is this one back here probably. I'm not exactly sure why, but that's just what I chose. And then so I see the L is going to move it to here, the U is going to move it to here, the next L prime is not going to use it, and the L moves it over here, and that's where it's, or the U moves it over here, and that's where it's going to stop. So now I have an orange here, an orange here, and an orange here. So since I knew that this orange is going to be over here with yellow on top, and now this one is going to be over here with blue on top, I now just need to find the very last orange piece, which is going to be this one right here. So this one gets moved by the L down here, it gets moved by the U, nothing, the L prime moves it right back up, and then the L2 is going to move it back here. And then the color facing on top here is going to be white. So I have a white and yellow, and then so I know I already have soon because I have an, I'm going to have an orange, 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 and I now have two opposite colors here. And then for this, the last one that I figured out was going to end up here was blue, and then it has white over here. So I know I'm going to have opposites here and opposites here, and that teaches me that I'm going to have Nicholas, the opposites and opposites, and since it's soon, it's just an algorithm like that. So this is an example of a 6-move layer here. This is one that I got at Nationals. So this one, although it may look complicated at first, it's a UR prime, U prime, and then ended with FRF prime. It's kind of similar to the 3 and 4 moves that you know. So when I was one looking this, what I would kind of do is look at this angle here. I saw that basically if I did a U and an F prime, then I would have something that I was more familiar with, just C prime and then RUR prime to finish off. So that's kind of how I was one looking at. So first I see how the pieces are going to kind of be after like the first 3 moves, and then the rest of it's pretty automatic since I've done that 4 move or that 3 move insert so many times. So in this case, I would kind of one look these pieces at the same time, just because I saw like the first few moves aren't going to move them, and then it would just be kind of easy to track them towards the end. So I basically, the U, F prime, U prime is just going to keep them exactly where they are. So that's nice. You really only have to think about how the last 4 moves are going to affect it. How the last 3 moves are going to affect it. So these are affected by like the RUR prime. So this piece was just going to get pushed from here to here. And then we see that this piece is going to go over here and then down to here. So now I would go and kind of look at the other 2 pieces. And so this one I would just go to next since it's facing me in front here. So that after like that first 3 moves, it's going to be moved to here from the F prime. And then when we do those last 4 moves, it's going to bring it from like the R is going to bring it up, the U is going to bring it over here, and then it just stays there. So we see that we're going to have now a bar here since this piece ends up moving here finally, and this piece goes here. And since we know that we're also going to have a yellow here, we know it's going to be some sort of T case. And if you look on the red color here and the red color, the yellow and blue color here, you can kind of predict what case you're going to get already. Since I would see that like we have yellow, red, that signals to me that it's going to be lefty sexy sledge case. But if you want to keep looking, we can see this yellow piece right here. After the first 3 moves, the U, F prime, U prime, it's going to be in the back here. So it gets moved by the F prime up here, and then the U prime brings it over here. And then so after the RUR prime, it's just going to end up staying there. So now we can see we're going to have yellow pieces, or yellow stickers here and here. This is going to be red, this is going to be red, and this is going to be green, just because of tracking, kind of like imagine twisting it this way. You can see that once the yellow is going there, which we already knew was going to happen, the green is going to follow and go right up here. And it's going to be matched up with this blue here. So if we look at that, that's what ended up happening. So I just happened to execute it from a different way. I thought this way made more sense to one look though, but I ended up doing something like this and then finishing off like that.